Richard I becomes king. What do you know about Richard's accession to the English throne in 1189? How was it marked by the culmination of years of familial conflict and political upheaval? His father, Henry II, had spent much of his reign managing rebellions from his sons, including Richard, whose aspirations for control over Aquitaine frequently brought him into direct opposition with his father. These conflicts were deeply rooted in both personal family dynamics and the broader territorial ambitions that defined the period. Henry II's reign was defined by his efforts to consolidate power over the Angevin Empire, a vast domain stretching across England, much of France, and parts of Ireland. While his political and military strategies were effective in expanding his influence, the size and diversity of the empire made it difficult to govern effectively. Adding to this challenge were his son's ambitions, which continually undermined Henry's authority. Henry the young king, crowned during his father's lifetime, resented the lack of substantive power he was given, while Richard and his brothers Geoffrey and John alternately collaborated and competed to expand their own territories and influence. At the heart of Richard's tensions with Henry II was control over Aquitaine, a duchy of immense strategic and economic importance inherited from his mother, Eleanor of Aquitaine. Eleanor, one of the most formidable political figures of her time, championed Richard's claim to the region, further straining her already tenuous relationship with Henry II. Aquitaine's wealth and prominence made it a key point of contention, and Richard's determination to assert his authority there often resulted in open rebellion against his father. These disputes were emblematic of the broader challenge of managing the loyalties and resources of such a sprawling empire. The political struggles within the Angevin dynasty were further complicated by the involvement of the French crown. Kings Louis VII and Philip II of France strategically exploited the divisions within Henry II's family to weaken Angevin power. Richard's alliance with Philip II was particularly significant, as it provided him with military and diplomatic support against Henry II. These alliances were not merely tactical but also reflective of the intertwined nature of European politics during the era, where family conflicts often had international implications. Eleanor of Aquitaine's role in these events cannot be overstated. As both Richard's mother and a skilled political operator, she was instrumental in shaping the course of his career. Her imprisonment by Henry II, intended to neutralize her influence, instead became a symbol of the deep fractures within the Angevin family. Upon Henry's death, Richard's release of Eleanor underscored her centrality to his reign. She would go on to play a vital role in his court, working to stabilize the realm and counterbalance the ambitions of figures like John. Henry II's death in 1189, brought on by illness and the cumulative stress of decades of familial discord, cleared the way for Richard's accession. While this transition represented an opportunity for renewal, it also carried forward the unresolved tensions and power struggles that had defined his father's reign. The events leading to Henry's death were emblematic of the deep divisions within the Angevin dynasty. Betrayed by his sons, including Richard, and forced to cede significant territory to his rival Philip II of France, Henry died feeling abandoned and defeated. Richard's rise to power was not merely the result of inheritance, it was a calculated series of maneuvers that underscored his political acumen, military prowess, and determination to assert his authority. Richard's ascension was met with both relief and skepticism. Among the English nobility and commoners, there was hope that the new king would bring stability to the realm after years of internal strife. However, Richard's immediate focus on his crusading ambitions, rather than domestic governance, signaled continuity in the challenges faced by the Angevin Empire. His ability to secure the throne rested not only on his claim as Henry's eldest surviving son, but also on his strategic alliances and the loyalty of key supporters. Richard had previously aligned himself with Philip II, exploiting their shared interest in undermining Henry II's power. This alliance, though temporary, allowed Richard to strengthen his position and emerge as the uncontested heir upon his father's death. The transition of power also highlighted the critical role of Eleanor of Aquitaine, who worked tirelessly to consolidate support for Richard. Her release from imprisonment by Henry shortly before his death enabled her to rally key factions within the Angevin Empire and counter the ambitions of Richard's younger brother John. Eleanor's influence extended beyond England, as she leveraged her extensive network of alliances in Aquitaine and other regions to secure Richard's position as king. Her role in the early days of Richard's reign exemplifies her enduring political acumen and her commitment to the stability of the Angevin dynasty. Despite the challenges of the succession, Richard moved quickly to establish his authority. He organized a grand coronation ceremony, emphasizing his legitimacy and divine right to rule. The coronation was marked by a display of wealth and power designed to unify his subjects and affirm his status as a strong and capable monarch. However, Richard's immediate departure for the Holy Land to lead the Third Crusade left the kingdom vulnerable to internal discord and external threats. This decision underscored the dual nature of his reign, one defined by both extraordinary military ambition and the persistent fragility of his domestic realm. As king, Richard's focus shifted to the Third Crusade, where he sought to solidify his reputation as a military leader and secure Christian control over key territories in the Holy Land. His campaigns in the region, particularly his role in the capture of Acre and his strategic negotiations with Saladin, cemented his status as one of the most celebrated warrior kings of the medieval period. Richard's leadership at Acre showcased his tactical acumen and ability to rally forces from diverse European factions, ensuring a significant victory for the Crusaders. Following the fall of Acre, Richard's determination to march toward Jerusalem, despite logistical challenges and dissension among his allies, highlighted his resolve and vision as a leader. Richard's interactions with Saladin, the formidable Muslim leader, added a layer of complexity to the crusade. The two leaders, while adversaries on the battlefield, engaged in a series of diplomatic exchanges that reflected mutual respect and strategic pragmatism. These negotiations, which included discussions on a potential marriage alliance between Richard's sister Joan and Saladin's brother, revealed Richard's willingness to explore unconventional solutions to achieve stability in the region. Although Jerusalem remained outside Crusader control, Richard's efforts resulted in the Treaty of Jaffa, which secured safe passage for Christian pilgrims and established a fragile truce between the warring factions. However, Richard's near-constant absence from England during the Crusade created a significant power vacuum. In his absence, his younger brother John and Chancellor William Longchamp vied for control, each seeking to consolidate their influence within the kingdom. Longchamp's unpopularity and authoritarian governance alienated the nobility, while John's opportunistic maneuvers threatened the stability of the Angevin Empire. John's actions, including attempts to align with Philip II of France, exacerbated existing tensions and highlighted the vulnerabilities of Richard's absentee kingship. The instability at home mirrored the broader divisions within the Angevin dynasty, where familial ambition often undermined collective strength. Richard's focus on his crusading ambitions, while enhancing his legacy as a military leader, left his kingdom exposed to both internal discord and external threats. His absence also strained the kingdom's resources, as the costs of supporting the crusade placed a heavy burden on the treasury and fueled resentment among his subjects. Despite these challenges, Richard's return from the Holy Land brought renewed efforts to stabilize his realm and address the pressing issues that had arisen during his prolonged absence. His crusading exploits had solidified his reputation as a formidable military leader, earning him admiration across Christendom. However, the toll of his absence on the Angevin Empire was undeniable. Regions that had once been firmly under his control faced increased threats from rivals like Philip II of France, and his brother John's opportunism had sown seeds of discord among the English nobility. Richard returned to a kingdom that required immediate and decisive action to restore stability and reaffirm his authority. One of Richard's first priorities upon his return was to reclaim the lands and castles seized by Philip II during his captivity. This led to a series of military campaigns across Normandy and Aquitaine, where Richard's tactical brilliance was once again on display. These campaigns were characterized by rapid sieges, strategic use of fortified positions, and Richard's ability to inspire loyalty among his troops. The construction of Château Galad in Normandy became a symbol of his determination to defend his territories against French encroachment. The fortress, both a defensive stronghold and a statement of power, demonstrated Richard's commitment to securing the Angevin Empire's northern borders. Domestically, Richard faced the challenge of repairing the fractured alliances within his kingdom. John's attempts to usurp power during Richard's absence had alienated key barons, and restoring their loyalty required a combination of concessions, displays of strength, and diplomatic skill. Richard's ability to mend these relationships, while maintaining the loyalty of the broader nobility, was crucial in stabilizing his realm. His return also marked a renewed focus on economic reforms to recover the substantial costs of his ransom and military campaigns. Increased taxation and reforms in the collection of revenues were implemented, though these measures were not without controversy, as they placed additional burdens on the English populace. Richard's efforts to stabilize his kingdom were further complicated by the continued ambitions of his rivals. Philip II, undeterred by Richard's return, continued to press for control over disputed territories in France. This rivalry culminated in numerous skirmishes and battles that defined the latter years of Richard's reign. Despite the ongoing conflict, Richard's leadership ensured that the Angevin Empire remained resilient, even in the face of significant external pressure. The dual nature of Richard's reign, as both a crusading hero and a domestic ruler, highlighted the complexities of medieval kingship. His ability to balance the demands of international ambition with the realities of governing a diverse and often fractious empire remains a testament to his political acumen and strategic insight. Richard's reign serves as a compelling case study in the challenges of medieval leadership, where the pursuit of glory on the battlefield was often juxtaposed with the pragmatic needs of governance. The familial conflicts that characterized Henry II's reign left a lasting legacy, shaping not only Richard's reign but also the broader trajectory of the English monarchy. Richard's strained relationship with John, for instance, would have profound implications for the future of the Angevin Empire. John's eventual accession was marked by both the opportunities and challenges created during Richard's reign, particularly in the context of territorial disputes and political instability. Richard's reign was further shaped by his reliance on key alliances and his strategic positioning within broader European politics. His early alliance with Philip II of France, forged during their mutual opposition to Henry II, provided Richard with crucial support in his bid for power. However, this partnership eventually unraveled, evolving into a bitter rivalry that dominated the latter part of Richard's reign. This rivalry underscored the interconnectedness of European politics, where shifting loyalties and competing ambitions often dictated the actions of monarchs. For Richard, maintaining a balance between securing his domestic realm and managing his continental holdings required constant vigilance and adaptability. The rivalry with Philip II became particularly intense following Richard's return from the crusade. Philip had capitalized on Richard's absence, seizing Angevin territories in Normandy and forging alliances with disaffected nobles. Upon his return, Richard launched a series of military campaigns to reclaim these lands, demonstrating his tactical brilliance and determination. His efforts culminated in the construction of Château Galad, a formidable fortress that served as both a defensive stronghold and a symbol of Angevin resilience. This structure, strategically positioned to defend Normandy against French incursions, exemplified Richard's commitment to preserving his empire. Despite their animosity, Richard and Philip were often forced to engage in diplomacy, highlighting the precariousness of medieval alliances. Truces were negotiated and broken as circumstances shifted, with both monarchs seeking to exploit any advantage. These interactions reflected the broader dynamics of European politics, where personal relationships and territorial ambitions were deeply intertwined. For Richard, the rivalry with Philip was not just a struggle for land but also a contest for dominance and prestige on the European stage. Eleanor of Aquitaine's continued involvement in the politics of the Angevin Empire during this period exemplified her remarkable influence and resilience. After her release from imprisonment, Eleanor became a key advisor and stabilizing force in Richard's reign. Her ability to navigate the complex political landscape of the time not only bolstered Richard's rule but also helped mitigate some of the tensions within the Angevin family. Eleanor's diplomatic efforts with the French crown were particularly significant. Despite the hostilities between Richard and Philip, Eleanor worked tirelessly to maintain channels of communication and secure favorable terms for her son. Eleanor's role extended beyond diplomacy with France. She was instrumental in maintaining the loyalty of key vassals across the Angevin territories, leveraging her extensive network of alliances to counteract the destabilizing effects of Richard's frequent absences. Her political acumen was evident in her ability to reconcile competing interests within the empire, ensuring that Richard could focus on his military campaigns without the constant threat of internal rebellion. Eleanor's efforts were critical in allowing Richard to pursue his crusading ambitions and defend the Angevin Empire against external threats. The Third Crusade, a defining feature of Richard's reign, provides a comprehensive lens through which to examine the broader geopolitical, cultural, and military dynamics of the medieval world. For Richard, the crusade was not merely a religious endeavor but also an opportunity to cement his legacy as one of Christendom's greatest warrior kings. His military successes, particularly the capture of Acre, demonstrated his strategic acumen and ability to unify disparate crusader factions under his leadership. The Siege of Acre, which was among the most significant engagements of the crusade, tested Richard's logistical planning and his ability to command an international force comprised of knights and soldiers from multiple European kingdoms. Following the victory at Acre, Richard's meticulous organization of the Crusader army enabled further advances into Muslim-held territory, solidifying his reputation as a brilliant tactician. Richard's military confrontations with Saladin, one of the most formidable leaders of the medieval Islamic world, became legendary. While their armies clashed on the battlefield, the relationship between Richard and Saladin was characterized by a surprising degree of mutual respect. Both leaders recognized the strategic importance of diplomacy, and their negotiations often reflected a pragmatic understanding of the limits of their respective positions. For instance, Richard's proposal for a marriage alliance between his sister Joan and Saladin's brother, while ultimately unrealized, demonstrated his willingness to explore unconventional means of achieving peace. These diplomatic exchanges reveal a nuanced perspective on the Crusades, challenging simplistic depictions of the era as a monolithic clash between Christians and Muslims. One of Richard's most significant accomplishments during the Crusade was the Treaty of Jaffa, which he negotiated with Saladin in 1192. This treaty secured Christian access to Jerusalem for pilgrims and established a truce that temporarily halted hostilities between the two factions. Although the Crusaders failed to reclaim Jerusalem, the treaty underscored Richard's ability to achieve meaningful results through diplomacy as well as warfare. The negotiations reflected Richard's understanding of the geopolitical complexities of the region and his recognition of the practical constraints on both sides. This diplomatic achievement further solidified Richard's standing as a capable and adaptable leader. The logistical and financial challenges of the Crusade, however, highlighted the immense costs of such an undertaking. The crusade required significant resources to sustain the army, maintain supply lines, and fund military operations. These demands placed an extraordinary strain on the Angevin Empire's economy, leading to increased taxation and widespread discontent at home. The financial burden of the crusade also necessitated reliance on church contributions and the sale of royal lands and titles, further complicating domestic governance. These challenges reveal the delicate balance Richard had to maintain between his international ambitions and the economic stability of his realm. Culturally, the interactions between Crusaders and the Muslim world during Richard's campaigns fostered exchanges of knowledge, technology, and traditions. While the primary focus of the Crusades was military, the encounters between these civilizations facilitated a degree of mutual influence that had lasting implications for both Europe and the Islamic world. Innovations in fortification design, medical practices, and trade networks were among the areas where these exchanges had a tangible impact, challenging narratives that portray the Crusades solely as a period of conflict and hostility. Richard the Lionheart's return from the Holy Land, his capture and ransom, his death, and his enduring legacy represent a pivotal chapter in medieval English history. These events highlight the fragile balance of power in Europe, the personal trials of a monarch, and the long-lasting influence of Richard's reign on his contemporaries and subsequent generations. The journey home from the Crusades. After securing the Treaty of Jaffa in 1192, which established a fragile truce with Saladin and allowed Christian pilgrims access to Jerusalem, Richard I began his journey home. The treaty, while a compromise, underscored Richard's skill as a military strategist and negotiator, cementing his reputation as a brilliant leader in both warfare and diplomacy. Despite its limited achievements, it demonstrated Richard's ability to extract significant gains even in the face of insurmountable challenges. Richard's return, however, was fraught with peril. Europe's political landscape was rife with danger, as his rival, Philip II of France, and his brother, John, sought to exploit his absence. To evade capture by hostile forces, Richard opted for a treacherous overland route through Central Europe, a decision born of necessity but fraught with risk. His journey was marked by disguises and subterfuge, as he sought to avoid the many enemies who awaited an opportunity to capture or kill him. Capture and imprisonment. In December 1192, Richard's luck ran out when he was captured near Vienna by Leopold V, Duke of Austria. Officially, this capture stemmed from a personal insult Richard had delivered during the Crusades by removing Leopold's banner from the walls of Acre. However, the true motives were deeply political, reflecting the complex web of alliances and enmities that defined the European power structure. Leopold handed Richard over to Henry VI, Holy Roman Emperor, who viewed the English king's capture as an opportunity to demand an enormous ransom and assert imperial authority. Richard's imprisonment threw England into a state of uncertainty and turmoil. His brother John, in league with Philip II, sought to capitalize on the king's absence, conspiring to seize the throne. Meanwhile, the English regency faced the monumental task of raising the staggering ransom of 150,000 marks, a sum equivalent to several years' worth of royal revenue. This immense cost necessitated extraordinary measures, including heavy taxation and contributions from the clergy and nobility. The process of collecting the ransom highlighted the king's enduring influence and the loyalty he inspired, even among a populace burdened by his financial demands. During his captivity, Richard's charisma and indomitable spirit further bolstered his legendary status. Stories of his bravery and resourcefulness spread throughout Europe, portraying him as a leader undaunted by adversity. Richard's ability to charm his captors and maintain his dignity in imprisonment enhanced his mystique. In February 1194, after more than a year in captivity, the ransom was paid, and Richard was released. His return to England was triumphant, but his focus quickly shifted to reclaiming lost territories and countering the ambitions of Philip II. Final campaigns and death. The final years of Richard's life were consumed by his relentless efforts to secure his continental holdings and reassert his dominance over the Angevin Empire. His campaigns against Philip II of France showcased his tactical brilliance and unwavering determination. Richard's military exploits included both pitched battles and intricate sieges, reflecting his adaptability and strategic vision. However, these campaigns placed enormous strain on the resources of his empire, underscoring the challenges of maintaining a vast and fragmented realm. In 1199, Richard's pursuit of territorial consolidation brought him to the castle of Chabrol in Aquitaine. While overseeing the siege, Richard was struck by a crossbow bolt. Though initially considered a minor injury, the wound became gangrenous, leading to his death on April 6, 1199. His final moments were reportedly marked by acts of chivalry. He pardoned the crossbowman who had struck him, a gesture that further solidified his reputation as a noble and magnanimous leader. Richard's death marked the end of an era, leaving the throne to his brother John, whose reign would be fraught with internal strife and territorial losses. Legacy. Richard's legacy is a study in contrasts. Celebrated as a paragon of chivalry and a warrior king, he earned the moniker Richard the Lionheart, for his courage and martial prowess. His exploits during the Crusade cemented his status as a legendary figure in medieval and later historiography. Poets, chroniclers, and artists have immortalized him as a larger-than-life hero, emblematic of the ideals of knighthood and honor. Yet, Richard's reign was also marked by significant shortcomings. His near-constant absence from England and the financial strain of his campaigns placed a heavy burden on his kingdom. He spent only a few months in England during his decade-long rule, treating it primarily as a source of revenue to fund his ambitions. The heavy taxation required to finance his ransom and military ventures fostered resentment among his subjects, straining the relationship between the crown and the nobility. Richard's death created a leadership vacuum that his brother John struggled to fill. John's inability to maintain the Angevin Empire and his contentious relationship with the English barons culminated in the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a milestone in the evolution of constitutional governance. Thus, while Richard's reign is often remembered for its heroism, its consequences profoundly shaped the future trajectory of the English monarchy. Culturally, Richard's interactions with figures like Saladin during the Crusades offer a more nuanced understanding of this period. Their mutual respect and diplomatic exchanges challenge simplistic narratives of the Crusades as a binary clash of civilizations. Moreover, the exchange of knowledge, traditions, and innovations, from advancements in fortification and siege warfare to medical practices, highlights the interconnectedness of medieval societies. Richard's role in fostering these exchanges, whether intentional or incidental, underscores the complexity of his legacy. In conclusion, Richard the Lionheart's return from the Holy Land, his capture and ransom, his untimely death, and his multifaceted legacy encapsulate the complexities of medieval kingship. His reign, though brief and fraught with challenges, continues to captivate the historical imagination. Richard's larger-than-life persona, his military genius, and the enduring impact of his actions ensure his place as one of the most iconic and debated figures of the medieval era. By examining both his triumphs and his flaws, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate dynamics of power, culture, and legacy in the Middle Ages. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe to Medieval Chronicles 1066 for more journeys back to the Middle Ages. Stay curious.